You'll have to forgive my voice today. There's not much there. I've been coughing a lot, fighting an illness. But maybe that's appropriate given the circumstances today, given the incredibly horrific week we've had as a country when it comes to violence visiting us from Louisiana to Minnesota to Texas. The violence against the police officers helping with a peaceful protest last night in Dallas just added an exclamation point to what has been a heartbreaking several weeks of violence in our world and especially right here in our country. I've really felt a heaviness today, a darkness of sorts. I was fortunate enough this morning to share in a moment of lightness. Got to celebrate with a good friend, one of my favorite people in the world, one of my co-workers who has been battling cancer for the past several months, and she finished her last treatment today. And as part of that treatment, she invited several family and friends to come celebrate with her, and following her last treatment, she got to go over to this little corner in the cancer treatment center where she receives her treatment and ring a bell. And she rang that bell once for every treatment that she had had, and by the end of it all, we were applauding her and hugging her and shed a few tears with her and some laughter and shared a prayer with her, and then had cookies and cupcakes to celebrate her getting well. And it was this wonderful moment of light in the midst of what otherwise has been several days of darkness. You know, light is meant to pierce the darkness, and light can serve in so many great and powerful ways. It can show us ways forward out of the darkness. It can also shine within us to reveal the darkness that all of us hold in the recesses of our hearts and souls at times. And at a time like this, I think it's really important that people of faith, before we turn the light on one another and try to show one another the error of our ways or the error of other people's ways of thinking, that we first look within and figure out what part of the darkness resides in us, with us, and how we can change us in order to change us, in order to change the world, in order to move a little closer to the kingdom of God that is so vital to the message of Jesus. One of the most powerful miracle stories in the Gospels came to mind to me today. It's in the Gospel of John, in John chapter 5. Jesus comes to this pool, and it was said at this pool that there were some mystical, magical, spiritual powers, that the healing powers that this pool held. And it says there in John 5 that people of all sorts of diseases would come and try to receive a miracle of sorts from the spiritual powers of this pool. And so the story goes that a spirit would come and visit this pool, and then that would stir the waters of the pool. And then the first person to step into those waters after the spirit had stirred the waters would be healed. But as the story comes to us in John 5, it says there's a man who's been there, who's an invalid, and he's been an invalid for 38 years, it says. And we get the feeling that he, in essence, just lives at this pool waiting for his miracle. And on this particular day, Jesus comes and he sees this man at the pool. And Jesus asks him a question. Jesus asks the man, Do you want to get well? It seems like a strange question. Of course he wants to get well. That's why the man's at the pool. And who doesn't want to be well, right? All of us want to be well. But Jesus doesn't say, do you want to be well? Do you want to be made well? Do you want me to make you well? Jesus doesn't ask that. Jesus asks, do you want to get well? And the man says yes. And so Jesus says, then get up. Pick up your mat and walk. The way I read the story, Jesus does not just give the man this healing. Jesus first asks the man, do you want this? Do you want to get well? Are you willing to move from where you are, to stand up, to partner with me in order to be made well? All of us want to be well, but not all of us are willing to do what it takes to get well. To get well, we have to be willing to change our location, to change our perspective, to move. I'm so tired, as I know all of us are. I'm so tired of waking up to the tragedy du jour. I'm so tired of turning on the TV to find out who died where today. I want to get well. And I don't want to just wait for some spirit to visit. I don't want to just pray. I want to pray. I have been praying, but I don't want to just pray. Because when I pray, what I hear God saying is, do you want to get well? Then get up. Pick up your mat. Make a change. And begin by making a change in you. If we want to get well, we have to be willing to go through the treatment. You know, there were times when my friend got so frustrated with the process of getting well. There were times she wondered if it was worth it. But today, because she found the courage in herself and the willingness to go, to get up, to pick up her mat, to move forward, to do the things that she had to do to be made whole again, she got well and she rang the bell. I want to ring the bell on this violence. We have to be willing to get up, to move, to change the way we see things, to stand up for one another, regardless of our race, regardless of anyone else's prejudice or lack of understanding. We've got to be willing to have difficult conversations about all sorts of things, from policing to racism to guns. We've got to be willing to have difficult conversations with people who see things differently from us in order to gather together the will of the common good and get up and be made well. I'm tired of being sick. I want to get well. Don't you want to get well? Let's ring the bell on this. It's time to make a change. I believe Jesus is asking us to stop just sitting by the pool and praying for the magic spirit. He's asking, do you want to get well?